As part of our consultative status at the International Maritime Organization, the Nautical Institute works closely with many of the delegations representing flag states. This collaboration allows us to work together, promoting issues of mutual interest, and it also allows us to bring the voice of our seafarers directly to the voting members at the IMO. One delegation we are delighted to work with represents one of the largest ship registries, Panama, and I'm duly delighted to welcome the Panamanian ambassador to the IMO, Her Excellency Jeanette Testa. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's brilliant to have you here in the Nautical Institute headquarters. Could you just tell us a little about your journey to becoming an ambassador here at the IMO?
Thank you very much, Chris, for having me here today. It's a real pleasure and an honor to be able to have this interview. Well, my name is Jeanette Testa. I am a maritime lawyer. I was born and raised in Panama City. So, well, being Panama, such a maritime country, it's like in our veins a little bit to have a career in maritime. So for me, it has been a journey since I was very little. I had this in my mind that I would love to be part of the maritime world, having the Panama Canal. In Panama, you see ships every day. We have our shores full of ships. You see containers in the roads. So it's something that you have it in your heart. So I studied law. Then I specialized in maritime law. And well, you see, some people say luck is when preparation meets opportunity. So I prepared myself in maritime law, and when I was doing my master's degree, basically, they sent me in an internship to the IMO, and that's how my journey began in the maritime industry and at IMO as an intern. And being there, then I was asked to be part of the Panamanian delegation. And well, 15 years after that, I'm here now as the head of the delegation, being the ambassador of Panama to the IMO.
That's fantastic. It's an amazing little journey you've got there, and as you say, taking opportunity and make it into tangible outputs. So, within that period of time, you spent a couple of times with the delegation. You've obviously seen policies be developed. How does the Panama delegation develop the policies that you enact and you try and push forward at the IMO?
Well, being one of the largest flag registries in the world, you can imagine the responsibility that comes with policy making at the IMO. So for us, it's very important what do we put forward, because we represent more than 8,000 ship owners. And with a policy, you can basically put an administrative burden to a seafarer, or you can make costly changes on a ship. So basically, we really try to focus in what we are going to change when we put something forward. And we try to make policy that goes along with the reality of the shipping, not only draft regulations that then you cannot put into force.
That's amazing. And so in terms of deciding policy and moving it forward, how do you actually take that into the heart of the IMO, work out how you arrive at that policy position and then actually enact it in terms of influence at the IMO?
Well, it's a collaboration work. We received basically a submission or a co-sponsorship of any policy making that we are thinking about putting forward at IMO, and the permanent mission receive it first. We have to analyze it, and then we will report to Capital our thoughts. Then in the Panama Maritime Authority, it goes through several technical people, also different directorates, and it goes to a little of a bureaucratic process to then have the final decision if we are going to support or not a position. So it's not like from one day to the other. It's like a lengthy process we have to go through. So when you see Panama talking at the IMO, supporting or not a measure, it has been through that process that we have internally.
That sounds like a lot of backroom work over with Panama and between your embassy here and back to capital. Once you've made those policy decisions and you've decided you're going to try and push something forward, how do you go through the process of getting a bit of influence within the room at the IMO? How do you kind of get other people on side?
Yes, well, that is like a backstage work. You have to be working in that like every day. It doesn't come out of the blue, like we said. You have to really have a representation at the IMO that is not only taken, but is given to the other delegations, working together, see if they need some exchange of information, to cooperation in some subject that you are stronger than them in your administration. Also, with the delegates, it's not only about work, you also need to make relationships, make connections. So when you are in a position that you need support for something that your government has told you that you have to have this position at the IMO, you can reach your other delegates from the other countries and, try to put them on board, not only with the information you have that is crucial for your administration to support, but also with that human connection that we develop at IMO.
I must admit, I've been following you on social media, and some of the activities you've got up to here in London, some of the meetings that you have, how important do you think those are? And getting the message out there that you are meeting other people to discuss that backroom stuff, and then taking that to the IMO, but more importantly, telegraphing it to ships, to owners, to seafarers. Do you think that's an important part of your ambassadorial role?
Yes, of course. Well, for us, like I mentioned, it's very important that as a responsible registry, our ship owners and the seafarers that are on board all of those ships know that we are doing our job, to benefit them in a way, and to protect them, to make shipping like better every day. So it's very important, of course, and crucial for our administration to put that out.
So how does your work at the IMO affect ships on the Panama Registry?
It's a lot of responsibility, whatever we put out at IMO. And for us, the registry is like a resource of the country, right? So we really have to make sure that all that is going on a ship is not going to be affected by any regulation that we decide. So in that sense, we try to be very close to the industry to see if what we are regulating really it's that way that it has to happen. So the industry and the ship owners that are the biggest stakeholders that take all the responsibility in this shipping game are going to be able to work with what we are delivering.
Yeah, because you're out there as one of the flags. You've mentioned the ships and you've mentioned seafarers as well. We're very proud to be a non-governmental organisation representing seafarers. How important do you think it is for the flags to work with the non-governmental organisations like us representing seafarers or the chambers of shipping?
Well, Chris, I think the work of the Nautical Institute and NGOs at the IMO is essential because in your case, for example, you have a huge amount of members that can give feedback in certain matters that are very important for the outcome of that matter. I remember, for example, in the Ship Design and Construction Subcommittee, where we were talking about the escape trunk from machinery, when you had a survey of more than 15,000 members, seafarers, that could give us feedback in deciding whether or not we had to pass that regulation. And I think that is priceless. It's something that administrations cannot get as easy as you. So for us and for the organization, I think it's crucial what you do there.
That's really
Yeah.
heartening. Thank you so much for that. And it's great that you remembered that, actually. It was an interesting intervention to make on behalf of the members. One of the other things we're doing on behalf of our members at the moment is a project called STEER, the Seafarers Technology Empowerment and Resilience Project. And we're looking at the ways technology can be used to enhance shipping, enhance seafarers. In terms of the Panama Registry, is there anything that you would like us to be investigating from a technological perspective of how we can make seafaring better?
Yes. Well, I have the feeling that it's the seafarer interaction now with the ship operators is gonna change very quickly with all the digitalization of the documents, certificates. So it will be very good to know how that is affecting them, if it's helping them. I I heard in the last HTW subcommittee many administrations doing that shift from paper to digital documents, and I think that will change basically the whole seafarer dynamic in getting documentation, in getting onboard ships with seamen that are now going to be digital, and it's like a new world that is opening there. So it will be very fascinating to see something like some feedback about that.
That's really heartening. We've got actually two of our volunteer expert delegates joining me at the facilitation committee in a couple of weeks to talk about that very subject. So that's actually really reassuring for us as an institute. We seem to be focusing in a couple of good directions. One of the other things that our seafarers keep feeding back to us is about fatigue. And fatigue, we've just made some achievements at the IMO. Could you just talk us through where Panama and Panama delegation sits? How do you see us addressing seafarer fatigue?
Yes, well, for Panama, uh, it's a big issue, the fatigue. We even were supporting, I remember the document, the proposal that the Nautical Institute, along with other member states, put forward the last HTW subcommittee. We supported because we think it's something that it has to be tackled and it has to be paid close attention to it. We also have now the vice chairmanship of the HTW subcommittee. We want to have that compromise with seafarers that we are going to look from very close that matter and to do all of what is in our hands to help solving that problem.
That's brilliant. And again, congratulations on one of your representatives being elected as vice chair of the United Training and Watchkeeping. That was a brilliant step. It sounds like you're having fun at the IMO. What is your favorite memory of the IMO from your time there so far?
Well, IMO is a lot of fun, I have to say. One of my favorite memories, I can say it was when I was elected chairman of the executive committee of the Oil Pollution Compensation Funds. Well, more than 13 years ago, but it's very fulfilling to be able to represent Panama and giving your country that opportunity to be in the middle of the world leadership, at like accepting claims and paying oil pollution compensations for big incidents. So it's a huge responsibility, but also it's a lot of good work memories that you create, and you grow with the organization, with the work you do in the organization, the people that we meet, like you, Chris. And well, yes, I think that is one of the best.
I'm going to say you smiled when he said that. And that's absolutely gorgeous because that's it. Just there's some good memories. There's a lot of frustrations, I think, in the IMO in equal measure. There's a lot of great memories, and I'm going to have great memories of chatting with you today. Thank you so much indeed. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.